Holy cow. Hello, book besties. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Delaney if you are new here. Today we are going to be talking about the 21 books that I read in the month of June. I believe this may have been the most books that I've ever read in a month before in my entire life. There's a lot. We had some amazing reads. We had some reads that felt really flat for me and everything in between. So much to cover, so much to talk about. I think we just dive right in because with 21 books, this video is bound to be long already. So no use with a long wordy intro. Let's just hop right into the books. Okay, so my water's right here. Okay, so I started off the month with a book of the month pick, and that is The Return of Ellie Black. I actually read half of this and then listened to half of it because I've just been in a mood where like listening to thrillers is really hitting for me. I don't know what it is about listening to an audiobook of a thriller. It just like feels creepier and eerier. I was really invested for the first half and then it kind of like fell off a little bit for me, and that's when I had to switch to the audio format because sometimes when a book just like gets slow for me, I feel like switching to audio can help kind of keep the pace going and keep me invested. It didn't really work, honestly. I just feel like the ending of this book got almost too complex, but not exciting enough, if that makes sense. This is basically the story of a missing girl, missing girls, and a kidnapper, and kind of the whole plot is like figuring out what has happened to these girls. Ellie Black is one of the girls that was kidnapped. She ends up coming back, but she is like silent, like she's not giving any clues to what happened while she was away, who took her, what went on. So they're really just kind of digging, getting to the bottom of it. Come to find out there have been more girls that have been kidnapped by, we assume, the same person. That's basically the whole premise. This was good. I think I ended up giving this 3 stars. Yeah, and my review on Goodreads literally says, what? That's all, because that was the end of the book. I was like, what? It was enjoyable. I did like it, but I wasn't wowed by it by any means. Then, super quick and short and sweet, I read a poetry book, and that is When I Am Gone. This is a poetry book about grief, and this was really beautiful. I didn't fully connect to a lot of the poetry in this book. I feel like it's poetry kind of directed to someone who's lost a spouse, so it didn't really like hit home for me. Some of them did, but some of them didn't. But either way, a really beautiful poetry book for grief, especially if you've lost like a romantic partner or a spouse. And then I actually read another nonfiction, and that is Wintering by Catherine May. This is basically it says the power of rest and retreat in difficult times. My sister recommended this book to me because I've been having like, I was gonna overshare on the internet, I've been having like extreme fatigue and extreme exhaustion. And my sister was like, you should read the book Wintering because it's about like turning inward and kind of hunkering down and leaning into periods of rest when you are going through a tough time. So this book was really eye-opening. It was really helpful. It was like a nice reminder that like slowing down actually doesn't mean that you're a piece of poop that is not a productive member of society. Like I tend to get in my head a lot about rest and like not being productive enough. So this book was a really great reminder of that. I will say I found the book a little bit boring, which is ironic because it's all about like slowing down and I wanted the book to pick up. Maybe that's a me problem. Definitely a me problem. Probably a sign I needed this book. But again, this was a good read. I would highly recommend to anyone who's kind of looking for that sign to slow down or someone who just isn't great at slowing down. I am there with you and you should check this out. If you're new here, I don't rate poetry, memoirs, nonfiction because it just feels weird to me. So I don't know. I really only give star ratings to my fiction reads. Speaking of some fiction reads, my favorites, I read Powerless next, and this is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Spring series. This is a childhood friends to lovers hockey ballerina romance. Oh, I loved this one. I gave this 4.5 stars. It was so close to a 5-star for me, but this is definitely one of my favorites of the series. It's actually number 3 in the series. I did like a full tier ranking of my review on the Chestnut Spring series and broke down all the tropes and everything on TikTok, so you can go check that out if you want. But this book was phenomenal. I love this. And while we're on the topic, I might as well just go through. I finished the Chestnut Spring series. So after that comes book 4, which is Reckless, and this is a reverse Grumpy Sunshine single dad accidental pregnancy, and I don't like any of those tropes. I really don't. This was phenomenal. And by phenomenal, I mean a literal 5-star read. If you follow me on any platform whatsoever, you have seen me ranting and raving about this book. This is my favorite from the Chestnut Spring series. Absolutely incredible. Then we have Hopeless. This is the 5th and final book in the Chestnut Spring series. This is a age gap, opposites attract, and fake engagement, I believe. Yes, fake engagement. I didn't love this one, I have to be honest. My hopes were high going in for like the conclusion novel of the Chestnut Spring series. I thought I was gonna feel all the feels, be super emotional, you know, all the things. It just didn't really do it for me. So this was okay. I think I gave this 3.5 stars, 4 stars. I can't totally remember. I didn't hate it by any means. Anything Elsie Silver writes, I'm pretty much there for it. I'm on an Elsie Silver kick right now, but definitely not my favorite in the series. It's actually number 4 for me. Like Flawless is my least favorite, and then this one is close behind. Then I read The Wishing Game, and this is actually one of my top reads of the year. Not even joking, this book blew me away. I did not know what to expect going into this. Like even reading the blurb, I wasn't really sure what I was about to read, and it exceeded my expectations times a million. This was just a feel-good fiction book. It has like a sprinkle of romance, a sprinkle of fantasy. This just has like a little bit of everything for everybody, I think. I love this, and it's bookish. Like I love bookish tropes and bookish elements in a book. I ate this up. It was so sweet, so amazing. I will now read anything by Meg Schaffer, I think it's Schaefer. I now just want to read anything by her. I absolutely love this. Then I actually read our Patreon book club book, and that was Picking Daisies on Sundays. If you are not in the Patreon, go join us right now. What the heck are you doing? We are reading the 3rd Housemaid for the month of July. I'm so excited. And there's also an option to discuss book 1 and 2 if you're not on the 3rd one yet. Anyways, I digress. Picking Daisies on Sundays is a cute second chance romance with a strong miscommunication trope. Not a huge fan of the miscommunication trope, and I honestly just felt like this book was a little bit young for me personally. I think I would have absolutely adored this book like early high school age. So if you have any younger readers in your life, I would highly recommend this. So many people in the book club thought it was super sweet. Some gave it like 4 or 5 stars. Personally, for me, it was a 3-star read, but it was still really sweet. I liked it, and I loved the ending of this book. I feel like the way that it was wrapped up and tied together at the end was just really, really sweet, really great. And this is an indie author, so if you want to support an independent author, definitely check this out. Plus, the cover is just beautiful. It's like this light pink aesthetic. It's stunning. This was the perfect, like, easy, fluffier read to kickstart my book club since it was our first month. I just feel like it was the perfect intro book for kind of everybody. It was just an easy read for everyone. And yeah, I think it went really well. So I gave this 3 stars, but like I said, if you have a younger reader or if you just are a fan of lighter, younger, fluffier romances, highly recommend this. Then I read You Deserve Each Other. This book has been highly recommended to me for so long now, and I was like, I'm finally gonna do it. So I picked this up, and I hated it for the first half. Like, hated it. Like, I almost DNF'd it. I didn't like either of the characters. I didn't like them together. I thought they were both being petty and childish and dramatic, and then I fell in love with them in the second half. So I was like, what the heck? I settled on a 3-star rating because of that, because I almost DNF'd the first half because I hated it. Then I loved the second half. I felt like kind of splitting that and being middle of the line at a 3-star was a good midway point. This was cute, but like you have to stick with it. This is basically about an engaged couple, and they both want the other person to call off the wedding that they're planning because they don't want to be responsible for like canceling everything and being the bad guy. So they're trying to basically make the other hate them and try to break up with them through their actions, if that makes sense. It's funny, but sometimes it was so ridiculous and petty that I was like, you guys are absolutely insufferable. Like, I cannot stand this. You are grown adults, like, act like it. And then I love them at the end, so I don't really know. 3 stars is all I'm gonna say. Oh boy. Then I read The Hotel Nantucket, and oh, this was a lot. This was a lot. Ellen Hildebrand books, I feel like you need a notebook beside you. You need a character map. You need to make notes of the plot. Like, there is so much going on. I've only read 2. I've read Golden Girl and Hotel Nantucket. Golden Girl is definitely my favorite so far. This was good, but there was a lot going on. There's a lot of characters. So much so that I feel like it took away from my enjoyment of the story because I was constantly having to flip back or look at my notes or something like that. Like, I couldn't just be in the story because I was like, oh my gosh, who is that character? Like, there's so much going on and they all connect. So not only do you have to remember who everyone is, but they're so interconnected that you have to also remember who everyone's connected to. You know what I mean? Essentially, the premise of the story is the Hotel Nantucket is super run down and bought by a billionaire to be renovated and just kind of restaffed and revamped. So it's this full new staff, and what they are after is getting what is called the fifth key from a really popular anonymous travel influencer who goes around to hotels, gives them rating, and she's never given 5 keys. Like, that's like her star rating system kind of is keys. She only has given out 4 keys, and the Hotel Nantucket really wants the 5th key. So that is basically like what they're after, but there's so much like mysterious, weird stuff going on in this book. There's romance, there's infidelity, there's a ghost, there's lies and gossip and rumors and banter and drama. Like, it's just drama. Like, it's just like a good general fiction drama story. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more, like I said, if there wasn't so much going on. But at the same time, like, that was kind of the whole point. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in the headspace for it or wasn't paying close enough attention. Like, could be a me problem. But I only gave this 3.5 stars. I think it's a good, like, general fiction summer read if you're looking for something like that. But like I said, please make a character map from the very beginning. Like, you're gonna be really glad you have it. And then I read one of the biggest underdog books of the year. I read Dear Dotty, and this is the sweetest book. This is about a woman who is very, very, very close with her aunt or her great aunt. No, I think it's her aunt. And her aunt ends up passing away, and this is about her like learning how to cope with her death and learning life lessons as she learns more about her aunt's life. Like, she has people writing to her about their experiences with her aunt. Her aunt is Dotty. It's just so beautiful. It's just like such a sweet, feel-good general fiction with like so much emotion and so many like more painful elements too. Like, it's definitely an emotional read while being really like heartwarming and sweet at the same time. Romance subplot, like emphasis on friendship and family dynamics, just really has it all. I did not expect to love this book so much, but I absolutely adored it. I gave it 4 stars. I just got a package. I hope it's my books. All right, and then I read Under the Whispering Door, and I read this in a reading vlog. Mood reading for a week. I think I read this and Hotel Nantucket. No, this and Dear Dotty, I think. I don't remember what I read in that vlog, but I think I read this in the vlog. So this is basically a story about the afterlife, and it deals a lot with like death and what happens after death and grief and those types of things. I really, really enjoyed the first half of this book, and then it started to feel like the plot was missing. Like, where did the plot go? I don't know. When I was talking about this, I said I felt like this feels like the adult version of like a book that I would have loved in elementary school, like Magic Treehouse. Like, you know, those types of books that you just ate up when you were younger? Feels like an adult version of those in the weirdest way possible. I don't know how to explain it. It just does. I didn't love it. I also didn't not like it. So I gave this a 3-star rating. Loved the first half, didn't love the second half, got a little bit bored. So we settled kind of middle of the road with a 3-star. They're gonna fall over, aren't they? Then this next book I read in one sitting, and that is When Breath Becomes Air. This is a memoir, and I listened to the audio of this, and I love listening to memoirs on audio because hearing the story told, often by the person that it's told by, but just hearing a memoir being told to you just hits different. This memoir isn't told by the person who wrote it because he has passed away, but this is one of the most touching books that I think I've ever read. Like, this was beautiful. This is about a neurosurgeon. Yeah, I didn't want to get his title wrong because I knew he was like insanely smart. A neurosurgeon who ends up being diagnosed with cancer, and like his internal battle now being on the reverse side of a diagnosis. Like, he's used to being the doctor that tells people that they don't have the best news, and now he's the patient getting not so great news. And this book, it deals with like the meaning of life and like what it means to live a meaningful life, and how you know when your body's giving out and when to call it quits, and how you know when it's time to keep fighting. Like, this is just so beautiful. I was emotional at multiple points during this book. Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said earlier, I don't rate memoirs, but I would highly recommend reading this book. This is like so touching. I just love this book. Stay. Then I read a thriller, and that is You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I didn't like this. This felt like a small town romance for the first half of the book with weird little tidbits being dropped. Like, I felt like tidbits being dropped kind of sounds like rabbit poop. I don't really like how I worded that. It felt like a small town romance with eerie hints that we were reading a thriller. Like you're very aware you're reading a thriller, but it feels too much like a romance that you're just kind of on edge. And I like that part because it felt like a really great build up and like a really great lead up. And like a lead up to what? Because I feel like we just missed that, you know, in a thriller, just kind of like, I don't know. It didn't do it for me, unfortunately. This was quite a miss for me. I gave this 2 stars. I don't know. It was fine. Like, it was very fast to read. I read this again in one sitting. It was like a Saturday and I just binged this book. Very, very quick. I feel like thrillers usually are really bingeable, but not a thriller that I will be thinking about or remembering. This is the same author of The Perfect Marriage, and I actually felt that way about The Perfect Marriage too. It's one of the only thrillers that I've guessed the plot twist beforehand. This just wasn't my favorite. We'll just leave it at that. Stay. You're almost done and my camera's about to die, but I have What I Should Have Said by Max Monroe, and this is very knock 'em out coded. Like if you've read Things We Never Got Over, that's the blue one, right? The first one. Feels very much like that. Runaway Bride, small town, grumpy sunshine, emotional, single parent. Well, that happened. I don't remember what I was saying before I got KO'd by my books. Oh, yes, very knock 'em out coded, but definitely had an emotional twist. I actually like this more than I like the Knock 'em Out series. I am not a Knock 'em Out fan, but this was sweet. It was kind of like I don't know, I felt like it was trying to be super, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I didn't love it, didn't hate it by any means, but didn't love it. This is a 3-star for me. If you're looking for like a quick summer read, highly would recommend. You could definitely binge this in like 1 or 2 sittings, just sitting in the sun. It's a shorter book. And definitely if you like the Knock 'em Out series, I think you would really like this. Then I read We Are Not Like Them, and this is one of the most thought-provoking books I think I've ever read. This is basically about a black and a white female friendship. They've been friends for forever, and the white woman's husband is a cop, and he's involved in the shooting of an unarmed black boy. So the black friend is covering the shooting as a news reporter of her best friend's husband's shooting. Does that make sense? And you get alternating POVs, so you get both sides from both the women. This was just, I had so many thoughts reading this book. 4-star for me. I feel like this would be one of the best book club books. Like, highly would recommend this for a book club because I think there's so much conversation to come out of this. I don't know. It's just like to see like the behind the scenes of the stuff that we see going on and the stuff we see in the news. Really thought-provoking book in my opinion. Then I read The Summer Pact. If you watched my summer reading vlog, I don't know if it's up yet, but I have a vlog, whether it's out or coming out, don't know, but I'm going to be talking all about this book, so I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet. Really unique and beautiful story of friendship, I think, with romance in there as well, and just kind of like self-development, and I think all the characters were really well done and complex and relatable. There's 3 different main characters and we get alternating points of view of all 3 of them. Also talks a lot about grief and honestly just the power of friendship. It's a really great story about friendship, and it takes place in Capri. So if you want kind of like that European summer vibe, highly recommend this. This was really, really cute. I think it's a new release. It comes out July 9th. So hopefully when you're seeing this, it's either coming out super soon or it is out. I would recommend this. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I feel like the plot happened really early on and then the rest of the book was kind of the come down from the main plot point, but it was still good. It was a feel-good read. So much emphasis on the power of friendship that I thought was really beautiful. Then I listened to the Next Mrs Parish. This is the second book to the last Mrs Parish. You guys, I didn't like it. I got to the end. I have to be so real. I got to the end and there was like a shocking plot twist at the very end and it did nothing for me, and I was like, oh my god, I missed like a major plot point. So to be totally fair, there was a side plot going on in the book that I was like, don't care, I'm gonna pretend this isn't happening. Like, I read it, but like, you know when you read things and you're like, kind of a side plot that I don't really care about? Yeah, it was important, come to find out, and I didn't like the side plot. So I feel like this book was just kind of taken in a weird direction, almost like a crime direction, less psychological, twisted, thrillery, and more crime thriller. which just isn't my personal taste. I gave this 2 stars, which was really sad because I actually really liked the last Mrs. Parish. I had high hopes for this one. Didn't love it. Then the book for my personal book club that I'm in, I read The Measure. This is very 2020 coded, like very, very 2020 coded. Basically, the premise of this book is one day everyone above the age of 22, I believe, starts getting strings delivered to their homes, and they open the box and the string determines their lifespan. So people are freaking out. There's like long stringers and short stringer support groups. Like, oh my gosh, there's just so much going on. There's politics involved, there's relationships involved, there's just a lot. And I feel like this is another book where there was so many characters. Like, I literally texted the book club group chat and I was like, guys, there's like 42,000 characters and I am fighting for my life trying to read this book. I do, however, think it's a great, great pick for a book club. I really do. And there's a lot of conversation to come from this. It's very thought-provoking. So if you're looking for a book that will have you thinking, like, there's definitely notes in my phone where I want to bring up so many topics at book club this next weekend. Definitely a thought-provoking book. Not my favorite of all time, but I do have to admit, after reading The Next Mrs Parish, I was in kind of a slumpy mood. So I could have just been in a bad mood while I was reading this. I have to be really honest. This is another, it was just kind of like mid for me. Didn't love it. Absolutely didn't hate it either, so 3 stars. We are almost done, guys. Also in that summer reading vlog that is either up or coming up, I read One Last Summer. This is a second chance romance set at a summer campsite where they revisit their childhood summer camp as adults, and that was really, really sweet. I loved the setting of this book. Our female main character was also super relatable to me. She was like highly burnt out, total workaholic, like pushed herself to her absolute limits and was dealing with like major burnout. And even still, she was like struggling to shut off the work brain and just like be on vacation with her friends. Another very friendship heavy book, which I've been liking a lot. I love the themes of friendship and the perfect summer setting. So if you're looking for a fun summer read, I would highly recommend. I think I also gave this 3.5 stars. Then another friendship heavy book, Summer Sisters, also in that vlog. You guys, Judy Blume is iconic. I flexed this in the vlog. I'm gonna flex it here again. I was a Judy Blume super fan in like elementary school, reading like her fudge books, like Fudge-A-Mania and all those ones. I wrote her a letter and she hand wrote me a letter back. I need to find it because that is like my claim to fame. Judy Blume knows my name. She knew my name at one point at least. She wrote me a letter. Oh, and this book is just so well done. Now I want to look more into adult Judy Blume books because I loved this. This just like sums up girlhood and womanhood and sisterhood and female friendship, and the 2 girls in this book are polar opposites, but they are summer sisters. Like, they spend every summer together and they truly become like sisters. I don't know, this book made me emotional just thinking about womanhood and girlhood and female friendship. It was really beautiful and really well done in my opinion. So many different points of view, so many complex characters. It was amazing. I loved it. This was a 4-star for me. Then this last book, I have to be honest, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about to. And I'm filming this video a little bit early on June 27th. So I'm definitely going to be finishing this before the month is up and hopefully vlogging it as well. So if you want like my final rating or editing, Delaney, when you put in your final rating for this, because you'll probably be done by the time you're editing. So please put in the rating here, wherever you put the ratings. But I'm reading a novel love story, and this is Ashley Poston's new release. I am not loving it as much as The 7-Year Slip, but I am enjoying it. The premise of this book is basically a woman gets stuck in the small town of her favorite romance book series. Like, she literally gets stuck in a novel and she has to, I think, complete, I'm not entirely sure because I'm not fully there yet, but I think from the back of the book she has to, oh yeah, Elsie is sure this must be why she's here, to help bring the town its storybook ending. So the author of her favorite romance series passes away, and then she gets stuck in the town setting of this series with all the characters and everything. And she thinks the reason she got stuck there is to give them their happily ever after. There is a strong romance throughout this book. There is friendship and different dynamics, and just kind of like, what a cool plot, like what a cool setting. I will say, I can tell you right now, it's not a 5-star read because I've been bored on multiple occasions. I know. Ashley Poston has the most beautiful writing. It is so poetic. Like, I just love her writing. Her and Jessa Hastings, I think, have such beautiful writing. I just am not feeling like I can't put it down. Like I don't have that 5-star feeling. I'm thinking as of now that it's going to be a 4-star, but I don't know the ending yet. It could completely turn around and suddenly a 5-star could come out of nowhere. I'm not going to say it's never happened before, but as of now, I feel fairly confident that it's not a 5-star. I'm thinking a 4-star as of now, but I guess you'll see wherever I put it on the screen. Cheating a little bit because I haven't finished this at the time of filming it, but I know I'll be finishing it before the month ends. All right, guys, so those are the 21, I think I said, the 21 books that I read in the month of June. Please leave a comment down below telling me the best book that you read in June. But don't forget to follow me on all the things. As always, everything is linked down below, including the book club if you want to join us for the month of July. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos. I will catch you in the next one. Bye, book besties.